And then I want to officially welcome everyone to our dynamic session today, which is really entitled, How Are We Going to Leverage Our MWBE certification? So many of us, as you know, have been MWBE certified, and sometimes not very happily stating that now you're certified, now what? What can I do? We even have others who are not certified and sort of believe that because they're not certified that they cannot really work as a subcontractor. And all of these myths are going to be cleared up this evening. So this is what we really like about the collaboration. Next week for B2B, we will have understanding of how you build capacity, right? So even if you don't have your MWBs or those certifications, you're still able to build capacity with one that actually has that. And I'm not going to steal the thunder from our presenter because she is really going to give you the juice and the jewels. So that said, let's introduce our speaker. She's none other than Diana Benjamin. And she is an experienced professional with a proven track record of providing strategic and recommendations on promoting diversity and economic equity. Diana has been a relentless advocate for underserved businesses. She has invaluable, comprehensive understanding of the public procurement process at local and state levels. In her former role as Deputy Chief Diversity Officer in the Office of the New York City Controller, Diana led MWBE compliance, business development initiatives, training and navigating government agencies to identify contract opportunities. She served as a subject matter expert and panelist at industry events. After 10 years working in public service, Diana transitioned into entrepreneurship and founded New Genesis Pathfinder, a certified minority and women-owned business consulting firm that focuses on diversity management services, navigating government procurement processes, MWBE compliance, business coaching, technical assistance, and building strategic relationships. Diana is a certified business growth coach for the Columbia University CU Growth Vendor Development Program, which assists MWLBE firms by expanding their portfolio of business and contracts with large clients. Diana believes small businesses can be successful if given the tools. And I am so in agreement, which is the reason that we went after her. And that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce and help me welcome Diana Benjamin. Diana, you're on.
Thank you so much, Winnie. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you so very much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join us tonight. I hope this workshop will be impactful. I encourage you, if you haven't yet gotten your pen and paper, please do so, because I really don't want you to miss anything. This is something that I am really, really passionate about. I want you to grow as a business. I believe in you as a business. I don't believe that you just got up one morning and decided that I want to fail, so I'm going to start a business, right? I know you got into business because you want to win, because you want change, because you want to impact your community and you change for your family. So whatever your why is, I'm here to help you, to guide you, and just any way that I possibly can help you navigate this wonderful space of government contracting and understand what some of the pitfalls are and what some of your best practices are, then I am here for that. So I encourage you again, make sure you have a notepad. I will not be sharing this PowerPoint because it's part of a larger training. However, I will provide the links that are embedded in this PowerPoint. I'll definitely share them with Winnie and structure it in a way that you can follow And if you have your phones and your cameras, you feel free to take pictures. I just can't share the PowerPoint. So don't hate me, but it's part of a larger
Absolutely.
training program. Okay, so I'm going
Absolutely.
to share my screen now while you're getting your pencil and your paper ready, so we could dive right in. All righty, can everyone see my screen nice and
Can
clear?
can
Yes,
you
awesome.
maximize it somehow? It's minimized.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is that better?
That's fine.
Good, good, good. So let
And
me,
do you want to put it on what is that called? Slide, on slideshow where you can start from that, or that's
um,
make it bigger? Yeah, now we can see. Yeah.
now you are, I'm actually using two screens. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I needed to go back to the first screen then.
Yes.
Um, yeah, when I use that one, it kind of does its own thing. But in any event, we're going to move forward because I
Mhm.
want you to get everything that I have for you tonight. Is that better?
Yes, we're seeing it very well.
Swap
Very
this.
well.
How about that? That's better.
It went smaller, but I guess we can. We're seeing your notes section. I don't know if you want us to see.
Okay. No, I don't want you to get my notes. I want to swap display.
Yeah.
How
There you
about
go. That's where we are seeing it beautifully. Right.
okay? So you're seeing it from my big screen. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect. That's good. That's exactly where I want you to see it from my big
Yes.
screen so that I can focus. If you see me looking over there, it's not that I'm ignoring you. I'm just looking at the larger screen. But
Okay.
anyway, so as I said before, some of the things that we're going to my aim tonight that you'll take away from this workshop is just basically some tips on working with government. I want to help you identify what state agencies and even city agencies, government agencies in general, what they buy, what they procure, what they purchase, how to market your business to government agencies, and more importantly, what are some of the best practices and the pitfalls to avoid when bidding on government contracts. Um, I have not only worked in at the controller's office, but I've served as the MWBE officer at New York City largest procurement agency, Department of Citywide Administrative Services. And I also served as the compliance person at DDC. So the information that I'm giving you, it's actually coupled over the years, and I can attest to some of the best practices and some of the real pitfalls that I've seen that have caused people to be found non-responsive in responding to a contract, right? So I want you to really pay attention again. So as we move forward, I want to just kind of give you a general overview of the MWBE program. Again, there's the city MWBE and the state MWBE program. So I'll be covering both. I won't focus on the Port Authority so much, but and I probably won't even touch on the Port Authority, but I want to kind of zoom in more on the city and the state. So I'll be going back and forth with the city and the state, and I'll let you know when I'm talking about state, and I'll let you know when I'm referring to the city. So right now, just in the last year, Governor Cuomo actually signed the reauthorization of the MWBE program, which is governed by Article 15A. See, every 4 years, the governor or the governor really has to reauthorize the program. So it's literally like renewing your license, right? So right now, the program, again, there were some amendments to the program that were wonderful and great. And some of the amendments to the program are definitely good for MWBEs. One of them is the 10% bidding preference on construction projects over a certain dollar threshold. That dollar threshold, I think, is over $1 million, right? There's the $500,000 discretionary purchase, which happens on both city, state, the MTA. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit later. But what that basically is the agency, they can procure services with no competition whatsoever. They could just pick 3 firms, they could solicit 3 firms and ask for a quote and just select you from that. Or if you're a single source firm, they could just select your firm for a contract up to $500,000. There's the 30%, there's a 30% goal that it's now standard across the board for both city and state contracts. So before it wasn't so much of a focus, but now this is standard. So every single contract that the city and the state procure, the aim is to get to that 30% goal, which I think is very important. So as we continue, I want to also just kind of give you another breakdown of the spend in fiscal 2019 through 2020. One thing before I even start talking about this slide, I want you to just jot down this very simple fact. New York State fiscal year, it runs from April 1st through March 30th, right? So what that means, their fiscal year just started April 1st for New York State, right? New York City, their fiscal year runs July 1st through June 30th. What that means is that the state's fiscal year is coming to a close in the next couple of weeks. So what's happening right now, agencies are looking forward to spend, right? To push out, doing they're utilizing this discretionary purchase that I just spoke about a lot because they want to spend the money that they have, because if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, right? So keep those in mind. The fiscal year for the agency, for the state, again, it is April 1st through March 30th. That's New York State. New York City, it's July 1st to June 30th, okay? So in fiscal year 1920 for New York State.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Is that, doesn't June come before July, or am I wrong? How does that work? You said July 1st to June 30th?
The fiscal year, it begins July 1st. The new fiscal year will begin July 1st.
Oh, until next year.
Fiscal 2022. So they're always a year in advance.
I see. Thank you so much. Okay.
You're very welcome. Are there any other questions as it relates to the fiscal year? Is that clear for everyone? Before I move on.
Diana, I'm seeing that people are saying that the screen is too small. Did it get minimized by accident?
No, it didn't.
Or can it go up to 110 or 100 in a scale? Is that
very hard?
They're saying they're not able to read the numbers for some reason. I don't know.
So these numbers, I'm going to provide you with the link to these numbers because, like I said, these are fiscal 1920 numbers. So these are the numbers that you really have to focus on now. I kind of throw these numbers out there just to give you the lay of the land of what the spending are. So these aren't numbers. As I said, I'm going to provide you with the meat of everything. You're going to get the links to where you need to focus, right? And who you need to contact. So don't worry about this. If you really can't see these numbers, it's really not a big deal. But I have these numbers because I definitely like to kind of give people the lay of the land so that they can see exactly how the spending is taking place and where the spending is taking place. For New York State focuses on their MWBE spend. Either you are a minority, which captures the woman, which captures the Black, Hispanic, and Asian, or you're a woman, whether you are a Caucasian woman, an Indian woman, as long as you are of the female gender, that's how the state classifies their MWBE program. So when they're establishing a goal for any contract, their focus is only a MBE or a WBE. And the MBE with the state is usually for male, right? And the WBE, then we capture that bucket as a woman. Not that I couldn't capture the bucket as an M if need be, but that's the thought process behind it. For New York City, however, it's a little bit different because New York City Their MWBE program, it doesn't really look at the gender or your ethnicity. It just looks at the goal. So it doesn't matter if you're an M or you're a W. And in for New York City, the W really focuses on Caucasian women, right? So we're not counted as African Americans or Blacks or Asians or Hispanic. We're not counted in the W bucket for women. So our participation as women is not counted as the W. It goes in the M bucket. That's how the city looks at it. So if you notice that construction has the lion's share of everything, construction is where the money is. For the state 2019-2020 fiscal year, the 59% of that spend went in the construction space, right? 59%. And that's over $10 billion in total that the state actually has spent. Right after that is consultant services. And then there are the commodities, and there's also the construction consultant services that also. But if you take a look and you notice in these areas, you'll see again that the spend for women is always higher. So the woman across all four commodities, the spend was 1.6 billion versus the MBE, which is 1.4 billion out of the total utilization of 10.6 billion dollars, right? So there's a lot of spending going on, and the goal for this is really for you to capture some of this spending, right? The goal for you to understand, how do I capture some of this spending? Because this is a lot of money. Keep in mind, again, this was fiscal 19 through fiscal 20, right? So imagine fiscal 20 to 21, which they probably just put those numbers out, right? And now they're in fiscal 22 already. So the goal for you is to get captured in fiscal 2022, right? So that you could have a contract opportunity in fiscal 22. Now, this is the spend for New York City. The one I just showed you again was for New York State. So again, this is New York City spend. And in fiscal, so there, this chart is going to show you the spend in fiscal 19 and fiscal 20. Fiscal 19, New York City spends about $4.6 billion. That's in general, that's not MWBE spend. And in fiscal 20, they spent $3.2 billion, right? Of that spend, they spent 17 billion over here, and these are the top agencies with the spending. So I'm not certain what everyone does on this call, but if you notice, you'll see that Department of Homeless Services, they are very high spend. So are you in human services? Does the services you provide could be beneficial to Department of Homeless Services? Department of Small Business Services, they also have a large spend. And if you look again, Department of Education, which no one knows actually how to navigate the DOE and their spending, they have a large spend as well. And we go down here to Department of Design and Construction. We see Children's Services, the DEP, DOHMH. I don't remember what NYCEM for. I don't remember. Emergency Management, I'm sorry. And then of course, HRA. And then the other is a compilation of all the other agencies compiled together. But the lion's share of the individual spend is definitely with the DHS, right? So again, like I said, if your services are for any of these agencies, then I'm going to show you how to connect, find out what they actually buy and to connect with these agencies. So let's move on. Are there any questions? No? Is it Crystal? All right, I'll take that as perfect. All right, good. I'll take that as yes. Awesome. So oftentimes people might just wonder, how does the city, the state, does government come up with their bids? What does it look like in the background? So once the opportunity becomes present, or the agency know there's a need, they first look at preferred source. And you probably never heard of preferred source. Well, preferred source is three main organizations, and I have a slide that I'm gonna show you. Those three main organizations that they first look at to see if preferred source, if they are able to supply or to provide them with the services that they need, right? If preferred source doesn't, then they look at OGS, which is OGS's Office of General Services. And again, they have a huge list and a huge variety of services, including a lot of technology. If none of those options are viable, then the agency, they look and they try to establish their contracts. And those contracts, it could be a competitive bidding process. They could do a sole source contract. And a sole source contract would be if you are a vendor and you are the only vendor that is capable of providing that particular service. They would come to you as a sole source. There's the single source. And the single source, it just basically means if you are one of the two or three vendors or companies that provide that service, again, instead of doing a general bid, they would just reach out to you and procure the services through you. Though they also look at the piggyback contracts, and those are having a general contract or a new contract that they could just tap into and use that contract without having to go out and do a new procurement. Again, the emergency services and the emergency contracts, again, those are contracts that they just reach out to a vendor. There has been, and you may have seen it in the news, that the city came under fire because enough MWBE firms were not utilized for some of the COVID-19 opportunities because those were emergency contracts. And there was nothing in place at that time there was no, the law actually exclude the MWBEs at that time because these are in and out. And finally, there's a discretionary contract and the discretionary purchase, rather, not contract, the discretionary purchase that goes up to $500,000. So those are the procurement tools that government actually use when looking to do a procurement. I'm gonna pause here for a quick minute and I want you to ask questions because that's how I know that I'm not just talking and you're actually getting it. So ask
A couple questions.
Yes.
Yes, so first of all, thank you for the presentation thus far. I'm curious, I guess I'll ask about what's on the slide first, and then I'll have my second question. Can you give us an example of a piggyback?
Yes, so a piggyback could be a catering contract, right? It could be a catering contract for, let's say, Department for Homeless Services or corrections, right? Mm-hmm. So for a piggyback contract, the agency might just want to use that contract. There's already a general master contract, which is the master one. So instead of procuring a new service, what an agency could do is just tap into that contract and say, oh, okay, we need this for Department of Small, for NYPD officers that are going to be on patrol for what did we just have the parades, right? So instead of going out and say, okay, we're going to look for another agency or another company that could provide these services, they could just tap into that contract, and that's literally a piggyback contract. That's a great.
Oh, okay. So it's like if NYPD wanted to have someone provide food, instead of going out and doing that, they just go to Homeland Security or something like that.
Providing that they, and usually those piggyback contracts are like in and out because again, the procurement process, it can be long and drawn out and daunting. So let's say that there is a demonstration coming up and there's not enough time. and they need to provide food for the officers, right? And they already have a catering contract. They have tons of catering contracts. They already have a catering contract. Instead of putting a procurement out, they could just tap into that contract, that master contract, and say, hey, we are going to utilize this service for some food over here for our NYPD officers.
Okay. And is there any way to become a preferred source?
Yes, we're going to talk about a preferred source. You cannot be a preferred source. The preferred source is 3 organizations, but you can partner with preferred source, and we're going to talk about that next.
Like a subcontracting sort of thing?
It could be a supplier once you understand preferred source. The city encourages preferred source to utilize MWBEs. But they don't really have to, right? Because of how they are structured, because what they do. But everyone right now is really inclined to work with minority and women-owned businesses and small businesses in general. So I've known firms, and I've known that some of the preferred source companies have reached out to MWBEs. And I don't know if it resulted in contract opportunities, but at least the conversation started.
Right. And then my kind of unrelated earlier slide question. So you briefly spoke about the New York State. They have to reauthorize the MWBE program. Is there a way to make that permanent, or is it just wholly dependent upon whatever the attitude the current administration has?
Yeah, so that's how it is. That's just how it's written. So every 4 years, so every 2.5, 3 years, we're all up in Albany, making sure, the advocates and everyone making sure that the program will be reauthorized. So unfortunately, it's, as much as it's an executive law, it's not like, it's not really like a law.
Permanent.
Yeah,
right.
So it has to be reauthorized.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. Fortunately,
I want to,
because then we get to amend it.
Right. I want to reach out to you offline to figure out a time I can come and join y'all in the lobbying, because this is important. This is my bread and butter. So thank you.
I'm certain that when that time comes, that Mars will definitely make the members aware, because this is something that will be affecting all of us. But like I said, the next reauthorization will be 2024. And that's why right now, even in this current climate and around elections, it's important for all of us to vote, more so even on the local front, because these are the people who are writing legislation and creating legislation for us. So it's very important to vote for your city council people, your assembly member people, because these are the people who have to push these programs for us. These are not coming from Washington. These are on the local front. Of course, Washington has their power, but we're talking about the local front of what's affecting us right now. And I think it's extremely important that that we get out and vote. We look at our candidates and see if their values and what they have promised to do aligns with what we believe and what we want, and we hold them accountable, right? We definitely hold them accountable based on what they say, so they're working for us. We're not just giving them a title. We definitely want them to work.
Excellent, thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? No? Okay. So I will just move to the next slide. So these are the 3 preferred source. Courtcraft, pretty much it works with the Department of Corrections. So for your, if you go into any government bathroom and you see the soap dispenser, the toilet paper, a lot of these are procured through Courtcraft. And they use inmates. Remember when the pandemic started and New York State had their own hand sanitizer? They came from Courtcraft. So let me click on this link. So the t-shirts, these are some of the things that Corecraft do sell. Uh-oh, we don't own that. So you have the apparel, the bags, you know, dormitory and institutional emergency supplies, eyewear. Who would have known? So, you know, again, I'm going to share these links with you. And these are some of the things, see the janitorial cleaning products here that Corecraft sells. So how can you partner with Corecraft? Do you provide any of these services, right? These are the things that they sell. So do you provide any of these services? Can you provide any of these commodities? Do you provide food services, chemicals, whatever that is, to clean the grime, laundry products, floor care? Do you provide any of those services? Bedding, mattresses, right? Believe it or not, the city buys a lot of bedding because the uh, the the prisons and the homeless shelters, right? They use the beddings and the mattresses, right? So, are you capable of supplying Corecraft with those commodities? Again, furniture. If you sell furniture, so reach out to Corecraft, have a conversation with Corecraft, and see if you could partner with Corecraft in providing them with some of these services that and some of these commodities that they actually do provide. Always sell that you're an MWBE. That's always a good sell. Just tell people you're an MWBE. They like that. Another company is NYSPSP. And they're also a preferred source, and they are particularly working with people who are visually impaired. Last time their link was broken, so let's see if it's still broken. Yeah, their link is still broken. I'm not certain why their link is still broken, but again, they are similar to Corecraft, but they work with the blind, so they do a lot of the work in the courthouse, like the tribal courts. So they do a lot of that work, some of the janitorial services. There's some contracts that are literally put aside for these organizations. And then you have the NYSID, and this is the New York State for the disabled. Again, they also are similar to Corecraft. Again, visit their website, check it out, see what they do. And if your services align with what they do, you can pitch your company as a partner, right? To provide some of these services that they may purchase. So those are the three preferred source. I'm not certain why the source program for the blind, it doesn't work, but it hasn't been working for a while, and I'm not certain why. Anyway, I also had mentioned OGS earlier, Office of General Services. This is also, this is not a preferred source, but this is also, this is another place where government agencies, they'll say, oh, we have an OGS contract. You're on the OGS list, Office of General Services. So again, this is like their bulk. So anything like in bulk, you have IT services, they go through here. Again, you can click on these lists and you can see what their procurements are. And how do you get on this list? There's a way to get on it, but this is very intuitive. This is not a website that's very difficult. And from experience, their support people, they have been extremely responsive. So, you know, for cars, for auctions and stuff, they are the agency that will, you know, provide or procure those services in bulk. Okay. I don't know why I keep going back to my last slide. Because my mouse is not cooperating with me. All right, let's do it from this screen. Okay. So you might wonder or think you know what government agencies buy. They actually buy everything, like honestly. Professional services, supplies, um, information technology and computers, those are the obvious. General commodities, equipment and repair and maintenance. Believe it or not, there is a mechanic or mechanics that actually do service city vehicles, right? There are contracts for that. There are contracts for people to um, wash and detail city cars. I remember during my time at DCAS, I couldn't find an MWBE car wash service, right? Across the bridge, which is very unfortunate because that was a $10,000 that somebody could have just get that small contract. But, you know, um, they purchase acquisition and lease services. Believe it or not, the city um, prior to COVID, they have a lot of lease buildings. Department for the Aging, um, they operate from a lot of lease buildings as well. So the city do lease and acquisitions. They do rentals as well. The city, when I say they purchase everything, they do. I'm gonna just be a little gross for you to understand how much they purchase. So if you are driving on the Bell Parkway and there's a dead kangaroo, which you might never see, but a dead kangaroo on the side of the road, so, and someone has to pick it up, right? Do you know that the city has contracts for people to actually drive down the side of the road and pick up a dead animal from the side of the road, right? So it's not only salt and sand and snow, but they do. So the city and the state, they purchase just about every single thing that you can think of. Unfortunately, if you or I were in the business of selling body bags, we would have been very rich because with COVID, there was a need for a lot of body bags, right? There was a need, and they had um, to purchase those from somewhere, right? So the city and the state government, they purchase just about everything that you can possibly think of. They buy it. You name it, they'll buy it. But it's a matter of how you connect, right? And how do you find those opportunities? So how do you locate these contracts? So New York State Contract Reporter, and I don't know if you guys have heard of the New York State Contract Reporter. So Contract Reporter, that is the official publication for procurement activity for New York State agencies, the public authorities, and also the public benefits corporations. So New York State agencies, whether we're talking about New York State Department of Health, New York State Department of Homeless Services, New York State, and this is throughout New York State. So it's not limited to just downstate here, but throughout the entire New York State, upstate region. This is where you'll find their publication, their procurement activity. Public authorities, that would include the SUNYs, right? That would include dormitory authority for people who are in the construction industry. The public benefits corporation, those could be your museum, those could be HHC, Health and Hospital Corporation. Those are your public benefits agencies. And so, but everyone in the state space that procures state advertisement, they actually go. I'm not going to do a tutorial on this, but I want to show you what it looks like, right? And that's basically it, right? So let me just open it, and it's free. That's a good thing. So you could go in and request a free account and just sign up. Let me log in. Oh, no, I can't log in because then I'm going to show you my information. But once you log in, this is what it looks like, right? The cool thing is it shows you today, there were 33 opportunities posted today. Within the last 7 days, there were over 230 39. And in total, there are over 800 opportunities or procurements that have been posted on the contract reporter, right? So if I were to look at this opportunity, I would have to log in to be able to view it, right? But I'm not gonna log in. But this is what it looks like. And once you create your account, this is where you'll go to find it. One of the cool functionalities with this is it has the discretionary type. So you can search for discretionary contracts under 50,000 right here. And you can search for discretionary contract between the range of 50,000 to 500K. You could also go through it and see if there are some sole source, which if you provide sole source services. So let's see if there are any opportunities for 50, right? So discretionary under 50,000, we have 4 today. This is the agency, people with developmental disability. And this is when it's posted today, 6/21. The due date will be 7/29. This is the address of the project. And they actually provided a little bit of information that it's a construction project for building construction, rehabilitation, or new construction. Again, this is for less than 50,000. If you click on login, when you get your account and you log in, then you'll be able to view that opportunity. Okay.
Question.
Did I hear a question?
Yes, I have all the proper numbers and agency approvement, and I just can't find the job title on that specific page.
I can hardly hear. You have the NIGP or NIAX code? Okay, so are you city or state certified or both?
I'm getting there. I'm literally doing everything now.
Okay,
It's
so
for,
you're not yet certified. Is that what I hear you say?
no, I'm not.
Okay. So what is your question?
It's basically for a position, assistant teaching position, but I can't find it on it's on there, but it's not for the company, like a hospital, like Mount Sinai. It'll be there for Cornell, but it's not there for Mount Sinai.
So Mount Sinai and Cornell, those are private. So this is for government agencies. So I have yet to see, and I'm not saying it will never happen, but I've yet to see those organizations advertise in here unless it has something to do with a government agency, right?
Yeah, transportation.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Yeah, with transportation.
Okay, so is it the state transportation, state or New York City transportation? And if it's a contract within a contract, it might not be here. So these are oftentimes direct contract opportunities with the agency, or for construction opportunities, you'll see the prime contractors, they'll sometimes utilize this space to advertise opportunities. But if it's usually a contract within a contract, then it might not be on this website, but you would have to speak directly to the agency personnel. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and just one thing, because you said something that brought that I wanted to just kind of touch on a little bit. Even though this workshop is entitled how to leverage your MWBE certification, keep in mind that you do not have to be an MWBE firm to bid on contract. You don't have to be, right? The caveat is, as an MBE, this MBE to me, I kind of sum it up as the cherry on the top. you have access to the discretionary funds, the discretionary purchase. If you're a non-MBE firm, right, you will not be solicited for discretionary spending. But you can bid on any contract. Remember, it's 30% gold. Remember, 30% gold, that tells you that there's another 70% out there. So if you are a firm and you are not an MBE and you see an opportunity and you bid on that opportunity, the only thing that's going to happen, you're going to have to meet that 30% goal. You're going to have to subcontract some of that work to an MWBE to meet that 30% goal. But I don't want anyone to think that, oh my goodness, I can't bid on government projects because I am not an MWBE. That is the furthest from the truth. If you bid as a non-MBE and you are awarded a contract, you just have to meet that 30% goal. So you're going to subcontract to an MWBE. You will also not be included in the discretionary spending. The discretionary spending is primarily for, not just primarily, it's for MWBEs, okay?
Okay, so Diane, there is a Portia who has raised her hand. Portia, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
My question is, how does one get the license or certification to be MWBE?
That's what we do here at Malls. So we definitely need to talk. That's what we're here to do, is to help you get certified in as a MWBE for the city, state, and port authority.
So at the end of this program, we're going to get a certification for that?
No. It's an application you can put in, and we are not the only ones. You have the QEDC, you have many government agencies, SBS, and it's actually on the website, you know, so at the end we can answer that, but it's an application. It's just not just showing up here and you become certified. You have to definitely apply, and it has a lot of bells and whistles.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely wish it were that easy, but unfortunately it's not. Are there any questions as it relates to how to navigate to New York State Contract Reporter to find New York State and authority application solicitations? Okay, I take that as no questions. So, having said that, we talk about the state. Now it's the city. For New York City contract solicitation, they utilize City Record Online. This is their database that the city used for contracts over $10,000. Now, keep in mind also, the city has Passport. Passport is their e-procurement system that is in, I think, version 4 right now. If you are a vendor, whether you're M or not, but if you're a vendor doing business with the city, you must be registered in Passport, because that's how you'll be submitting your bids going forward. So City Record Online is for contracts over $100,000. I've seen a lot of contracts in City Records these days, and most of them are for construction services. So when you access City Record Online, this is exactly what it looks like. You would click on procurement, and the cool thing about this, it shows you contracts that have already been awarded. So again, if you are in the space, in human services space, and you for some reason didn't bid on a particular contract and you want more information, you can see that this contract was awarded, right? So my question is, who was it awarded to? I bid and they didn't send me anything. So if you click on this here, you see, oh, it was Albert's House. They're the ones who won the contract. The contract value was $3 million. Okay, so I'm assuming that they're a non-for-profit because ACS is a human services contract agency. So they really don't necessarily are required by law to utilize MWBE services, but as a best practice, they're encouraged to do so. So if you're in a space that can provide some services to this organization, you just have to Google it and mention this contract. that's one way to do your business development, right? Um, and see most of these over here are over $100,000, right? Professional development. Again, this was a contract that they just awarded again. This is the agency. This is the title. Again, if you want to see it, it's a $64,000 contract. It's actually a renewal contract. It tells you. So it gives you a lot of information that you could use if you are looking to do your business development. But I want to find one that is a solicitation that makes sense for all of us. Let's go to the next page. For the construction people, this is a construction solicitation. It's from the Department of Design and Construction, and this was advertised on 6/18. Again, just click on the link. You'll see the contact information here. With most of these, you have to go into Passport again, but it gives you a little bit more information. So this is where they'll advertise this, and then you'll still be required to go into Passport because the city is definitely looking to move over fully into Passport. So, but this is where they advertise all those opportunities for the city contract. And every day you could go through this and see if you're looking for opportunities over the $100,000 threshold. But more importantly, what I'd encourage you to do is to utilize this if you are looking for opportunities, right? Again, this is an intent to award a contract. It hasn't been awarded yet, but it's an intent to award a contract to someone. This is the contact person here. So they're getting ready to award this contract to someone, right? So this would be a good way, again, if you are in human services, to do your outreach, to do your back end research. This one was awarded on 6/18. Doesn't give much information about Boom Health, but you know it's a over $200,000 contract. So you would have to Google them, and well, nope, you wouldn't get any money from this one because again, this was a discretionary spend from the city council, so you wouldn't get any money from that. It has to be a competitive, competitive spend. Anything from city council or the borough president, those you definitely are not going to get any money from those. So those are like grants. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this, so let's move right along. And to my next slide. So how do you locate contract opportunities, right? So like I said earlier, the state, they purchase lots of goods and services from every community and every commodity. This is the place that you go for your certification, right? When you're trying to apply for your certification, but it's multifunctional. It serves different purposes, right? So this is a quick and easy way, especially if you are a smaller firm that you are looking for opportunities, right? You can go here, you see where it says New York bid and grant opportunities. You could click on this link right here. And again, this is going to take you back. So if we're looking for grants and bid over $500,000 in value, we could click here. Ronnie, what do you do?
Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I am. I do business services.
Huh?
Business services.
Business services?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ooh. Let's see. So you could select a category, but usually I just leave it that way. So if there are any opportunities throughout, then we'll find it. So
Mhm.
there's nothing for business services. Let's just do technology.
Okay.
This is one quick way. And there's nothing in technology.
Well,
So
maybe there's something wrong with it.
I know, right? Let's do IT. Sometimes they don't use the, let's clear the form. Let's see in here, who's in here. And again, if you see it here, these are all, this covers New York State. This is everything New York State, right? Everything New York State. So that's why I didn't want to just limit it to an agency. But if we're looking for an agency, we could do that. But this covers the entire New York State. If we click on the categories over here, we're going to see it. So let's see if there's anything technical. Ooh, I can't spell. What's going on? Oh, okay. So there's nothing technical going on. I need
I think there's something wrong with it.
let's see. Advertising.
Advertising.
Can you do human services and see what comes up?
Human services is too broad, but I'll do it.
Yeah, it should, at least something should come up.
Like maybe encourage
Human resources or something?
Yes, human resources.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
Training.
Training, okay, yes.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something wrong. No, there's.
It's broken. All right. Have no fear. These things happen. But this is where you would go to find it, right? So if you were applying for your MWBE certification, you would click in here, but we're not applying right now. We're just trying to find where the opportunities are. Same here for this one. Okay, that's the same link. We're not going back with you. Let's go with, there we go. Let's do this one. Advertising. Let's see advertising. So, yeah, something is definitely wrong because advertising didn't give us anything a minute ago, right?
Right.
We have transient vehicles and facility advertising. And this is Capital District. So this, look, Google advertising, digital nursing recruitment. Some of these are upstate. So if we click on this, it just gives us more information. So, right, this is the contact person. Sometimes these are up in Albany, so pay close attention, right? But again, like I said, it serves the entire New York region. So it's not only New York City, but it serves the entire New York region. And most time these are like, you know, MWBE opportunities. Most time they are MWBE opportunities, okay? All right, so moving right along, I want to make sure I cover everything. So that was New York State. Now let's jump at New York City. So New York City, along with the Mayor's Office of Contract Services, they publish annually each agency's their anticipated contract opportunities, their anticipated spend, right? So they didn't change this last fiscal year. And in other words, it's called the procurement plan. So Ronnie, let's call in someone else. Someone else, just give me one of these agencies that you've worked with or that you intend to work with.
Niger.
Yes, I would love to work with ACS, working with young men of color and maybe the foster care system.
Awesome, ACS. So I just clicked on ACS and ACS went up here. So now I'm gonna have to download ACS. Let's make sure it works. Can you see it or not?
No, nothing's popped up.
Okay, it opened, but now it goes to my screen, so it's not gonna show you. But I want you to see this. So when I send you the link, then you'll know what you're looking at, right? So in essence, what it is all the contracts that ACS intend to put out in the 4 quarters. So from Q1 through Q4, it will show you the anticipated contract date, the contract end date, You'll also see the procurement method. If you're an MBE or non-MBE, or if you're an MBE firm, then you want to scroll through it and see where they are talking about the discretionary spend. So at least you know, okay, I want to keep my eyes out for this. Most of these opportunities from ACS are competitive sealed bids. Some of them are RFPs. I don't see them having any, and again, this is old, right? So don't rely on this one, because this was from a previous fiscal year. They haven't yet uploaded the new one, but again, they're still in this fiscal year. And these are for usually most time for their larger contracts, right? Because it's opening on my screen, you won't be able to see it, but I just want you to be aware of that. This is literally the same thing, but when there are any amendments, they'll go in and they'll change it and they'll have just that one field over here. For human services plans, they haven't updated that, but for human services, I would encourage you, for the people who are in human services, to make sure you sign up in HHS Accelerator. That's where the human services contract opportunities, that's where you find it. It's very annoying and they ask for a lot of information. But nonetheless, if you're in human services, please, the Department for the Aging, Department for Children's Services, Health and Mental Hygiene, Homeless Services, Probation, Youth and Community Development, Housing Preservation, Small Business Services, those are the agencies that you would see their opportunities in HHS accelerators, okay?
So where would you sign up for the HSS accelerator?
When you go to Passport, if you go to Passport NYC, if you're in, are you in Passport?
I am not familiar with Passport.
Okay. Have you done any business with the city of New York?
Not as of yet. My concern though is that I am wondering how accepted are they in terms of people who are new, or do they just like stay with people who've been working with them for a long period of time? Like I would be a new person reaching out to get one of the procurements.
No. That's how you build relationships. We've never met, but we're friends, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so no. Listen, if you provide a service, you have, because again, they are not going to know everyone, right? So you have to reach out and try to build these relationships. So when these opportunities do present themselves, that you are aware and they are aware that you are out there in the event they have a small purchase opportunity that they want to include you on the procurement list for, okay? So yeah, there are a lot of misconceptions, and it's and by any means, it's by no means it's not easy to, you know, get a government contract or win a government contract. It is a lot of work. But again, it's building those relationships and sustaining those relationships over time. Now, one thing that I don't know if many of you know about is that P card. The city and the state, they both have P card. And what P card is, in essence, is a credit card. So for agencies who want to be in and out, let's say they need some trophies for an event tonight or tomorrow, they could just use a P card and just go to the trophy store or call an MWBE and say, hey, we need some trophies. And they just purchase up, I think they are able to purchase up to $10,000 on a P card. If you are a florist, right, and they need to get some floral arrangement for Gracie Mansion for an event tonight, they could just use their P card and they could make that purchase directly from you. It's just a swipe. If it's catering and they want to do breakfast for a meeting tomorrow morning, they could just use their P card. Again, that's me. That's them getting on the phone and calling you and say, hey, do you accept P card purchases, right? And that's a transaction. So again, Agencies do use P card. Keep that in mind. That's one way that you could leverage your certification. See, it's a procurement credit card. Um, and they buy printing stuff, they seminars, they can do a whole bunch of stuff from their P card.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
yeah, they do. They use their P cards for a number of things that are under a certain dollar threshold. So it's important to build those relationships with the procurement people, with the MWBE officers and the MWBE staff. You're never a bother. Sometimes they don't respond, but listen, this is my business and I'm not going to allow your one day bad attitude to stop me. I'm going to reach out to you gently. And if I find something that I think that you should know about in terms of procurement, guess what? This is how I'm building relationship. You might not be my friend yet, but you best believe by the end of this day, you're going to be my friend, right? Because
Amen.
I'm going to
Yes.
be thinking about you and I'm going to send you something that always going to pique your interest. Oh, look what she sent. Oh, okay, great. And that's how you do it. I promise you. Even though I work with the city, there's one particular agency that because people move around, I didn't have any relationship in that agency. And I wanted to get in a particular program and I knew about the program and I knew it was very difficult to get into. And I started just touching base with people, just checking on them genuinely in COVID, just to see how they were doing, how their families, and you'll be surprised. When it was time, the person had reached out to me. I had reached out to them earlier, weeks after me checking in and just saying, hi, I hope you and your family are well and, COVID, blah, blah, blah. And then they reached out. I had reached out and I said, hey, I know your program is coming up, blah, blah, blah. And the program was full. But 2 days later, I got an email that there's a space for me, right? And that was a new friendship that I built because I didn't have any contacts or any relationship with that agency. But I was intentional. And as a business owner, you have to be intentional. So this is New York State's ebook. This is wonderful and great. And I love this book. This past December, the state had their annual forum. I don't know if anyone on this in this workshop went to the forum on this year or knew about the forum, but this is wonderful and great. So I'm going to go through it quickly. Again, like I said, I'm going to provide this the links to all of this. And this book gives you the guide, but this takes you into all the state. Remember, I mentioned the state and authorities and public benefits corporations. So they're here. They are all here. So they're not only just there, but they are showing you some of the top construction projects that's going on in New York State, right? So since we're downstate, we're going to look for an agency that's downstate. I'm not going to do Battery Park because they didn't have any opportunity last time I checked. So let us go to CUNY. All right. So CUNY, you can view CUNY opportunities here. This is kind of old because Michelle has since retired. When they printed this, Michelle had retired since that. But the great thing I want you to take away from this is that there's an email address right here. So while Michelle is no longer there, Sharon is probably still there, and Sharon was Michelle's boss, right? So you can email this number. You have an email address here. You have a telephone number here. When you click on this opportunity, you can see the opportunity.
Or no?
CUNY. I'm sorry?
I
Yes?
think it was Sharon Long.
No?
I'm sorry.
Is someone asking a question?
Yeah, I thought it was Sharon Long from the Career Connect, but I went to CUNY, so it's a common name. I'm sorry.
Okay. I just know Michelle is no longer there. Michelle was on the construction fund side. And there's William Choi over here in the supplier diversity side. So if you're not in the construction space, but you are in the commodities space, then William would probably be the person that you connect with. And there's William's email address. Send your capability statement to William. Introduce yourself to William, right? Let's see another agency. There's DASNY, Dormitory Authority. These more so, a lot of people who are in the construction space, I encourage them to look at DASNY, go to their website. These are the leaders in DASNY, both downstate and upstate. Connect with the DASNY people. Those are upstate. Empire State Development, that's downstate. But let me see if I can find another one. And here's the MTA. The MTA, Michael Garner. That's Michael's email address. Again, if you click on here, you may see some of the opportunities that they do have. You could navigate your way through it, around it. But
Diana,
yes,
I'm sorry, can I just ask a quick question?
sure.
Right there where it says doing business with the MTA and advertising, what do they mean by that? What are they looking for?
Let's see. Advertising in our system can help you reach millions. So this must be the advertising on the buses, right? Or on the trains, or advertising on the MetroCard. So if you have a catering company, you can advertise your painting or catering company on the MetroCards. And this is literally their policy for advertising. So this more so, it's not an opportunity for business for you, but an opportunity for business for them. Picture your catering company on New York City MetroCard. Do you know how many hands those MetroCards actually do go into? Who could potentially see your business on here? So these are their procurements. You get to their bidders list, you know, what they buy, their current solicitation. And the MTA has a lot of wonderful programs that they are vested in increasing MWBE spend. So I wanted to give you just a quick overview of that as well, okay?
Thank you.
Let's move right along. So now we talked about everything. So the discretion spend, remember we went over there already, and I showed you where to find it on the state website. That's $500,000. And these discretionary spend, again, these are relationship. Be in their faces, send them your capability statement, check up on them. Hey, how are you? Just want to let you know if there are any opportunities. Keep knocking, the doors will open, just keep knocking, okay? Don't give up. It's about your business. You must be intentional about being successful in your business. I showed you where to find the 50,000. And again, we spoke about the discretionary spend. So $5,000, again, they could just reach out to you and just offer you an opportunity. But if they don't know you, then they can't do that, right? Because they are not there. Again, these opportunities, these discretionary spend for these $5,000 and the P card purchase, these are in and out. They don't have time to go through a long drawn out process. So they want to just include 3 or 4 people on their list to say, okay, boom, we're just going to add 3 more. We're going to offer this contract to you, give us a quote, and we're going to reach out to 3 additional firms. Or they could just offer you the opportunity. It's just that simple. Again, this is just some reading information on, you know, the advertising threshold. So that's no big deal. And again, this is just reading advertisement for their discretionary guidelines. I encourage you, when I send these links over, that you take some time to please read them and educate yourself on the processes so that you understand exactly when you're doing business with the city, you understand when you're having these conversations, what they're talking about, right? So this is how you market to the agency. You must understand the agency's spending habits, right? How do you get that information? Not every agency buys the same thing. New York City and New York State, they purchase just about everything, but not everyone buys the same thing, right? I would not go to New York's Department of Health to get sand, right? Because they don't buy sand or salt. That would be Department of Sanitation, right? So you must first understand their spending, their discretionary spending. That's always your target, especially as a smaller firm. That you definitely want that $500,000 contract, that $20,000 contract. That's your foot in the door. You must network. Malls is definitely a good place to start your networking. Network with everyone here. Let's know what you do, because you never know who we know. And that might be just an opportunity. People oftentimes reach out to me. Do you know anyone who does this? Anyone that provide these services? Your capability statement is extremely important. Make sure you have a capability statement that is not an essay, but make sure it hits the core points of who you are, what you do, right? What services. Make sure you have the proper codes on your capability statements. That is extremely important. For people, especially in the construction space, you want to be on their short list, meaning their pre-qualified list. Any agency that has a pre-qualified list for any service, you definitely want to be on that pre-qualified list. So if you're in the construction space and Department of Design and Construction, DEP, Parks, they have pre-qualified lists. So I'd encourage you to get on those pre-qualified lists. You also want to make sure that you are attending networking events and outreach events. SBS hosts outreach events and networking events, maybe several per month. PTAC, they host those events as well. Right now, everything is still virtual, but once we go back to in-person, then I encourage you to take your capability statements, your business cards, and build those relationships. That's what it's all about. So before we close, I want to just briefly tell you about some best practices. Best practices, you must understand the agency need. You must know what the agency need and ask for clarity, right? You are not an attorney. I don't know if there's anyone here, an attorney, but even after working for the government and working in city government for over 10 years, and I've done, several things, and I've looked at several opportunities, even when I am working on a bid or an RFP, I have to ask for clarity because sometimes it's just jargon. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't want to misinterpret, because that misinterpretation could cost me that opportunity. So make sure you understand what the agency needs are. Make sure you understand what they're saying. If they're saying do not exceed or not to exceed a certain dollar threshold, make sure you don't send them a bid that's 85,000 when the do not exceed is 50,000, right? You're going to be disqualified. So keep your bid at what they are saying, do not exceed. Make sure you read all the terms of the contract. Again, I had a firm had reached out to me during my time in the city, and they provided photography services to the city, and there was language in the contract that they didn't understand. They went out and they purchased additional materials and stuff that they ended up not using, and they were very upset because they didn't read the terms of the contract and the conditions. SBS has pro bono attorneys utilize the Department of Small Business Services to get to look at over your contract and over your documents if you really don't understand them. Make sure if you are in the space of goods and services, the green attributes, it's a huge thing now. The city and the state, they're definitely looking to go green and be environmentally friendly. So that's a huge thing for anyone who's in that space. Sometimes for people, and this is a true example. I had someone who reached out to me during the height of COVID, an agency, and they wanted thermometers. And I had a vendor that I connected them with the vendor, and the vendor provided them with the best quote, but the vendor failed to ask about the tax exempt And so the vendor included the taxes. And that's how, even though he had the best quote, they couldn't go with him. They had to go with someone else. And guess what the next person did? They literally just rolled the taxes up in their quote and they got the bid, because this vendor that I know didn't ask about the tax exempt documentation from the buyer so that they could effectively include that in the cost. Know what the insurance requirements are. Last but not least, know what the insurance requirements are. Do not go out and get insurance before you know what the requirements are that the agency has. If you have to increase, I've seen that too many times during my time with government. And so make sure you check that out. So I have some last resources that I wanted to just share with you quickly. Open Book New York, again, this is where you find all state and authority, state government contracts. This is good because this is a very good place because you'll see contracts that are currently out there. You'll see when they are getting ready to expire. So this is a good place. They also have a video here that you could check out the video as a tutorial. Checkbook NYC is New York City. Again, this is how New York is spending. This is the wealth of information in here. There's also a video that Scott Stringer is talking about. I don't know if he provides a tutorial, but this is also a good resource to see the city contracts, how the city is spending with MBEs, and also how the city is spending in general. See the MBE spend right here. These are the contracts. This is how the city is spent in general. New York City Mayor Office of Contract Services. Again, this is where they'll have, you'll see Procurement 101. They'll talk about passport and funding in passport. Again, I'm going to share these links with you, so have no fear. And last but not least, I have to go back. What happened? Whew, that's not cool. Are you able to see my screen? Are you still able to see my screen?
Yes, we're seeing your screen.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm not certain why that happened, but all of a sudden now it decides that it wants to do its own thing.
Yeah, sometimes you may have to copy the link and put it in the browser if the system is overloaded with the cache, if the cache is very heavy.
There we go. All right, so this I wanted to show you. Again, this is their annual spend. This is where I grabbed the first information from. But this is again a list of all the authorities, all the agencies. So let's look for one here. So in that fiscal year, this was the agency expenditure, 76 million. They spent 13 with M and 6.9 with W. This was their total utilization. Of their 76 million, they spent about 20 million with MWBE combined. So this is a good gauge for you to see how the agencies have been spending over the years and see if these are some of the agencies that you definitely want to do business with. Again, the ebook, it provides you with the list of contacts for each agency. I know that was a mouthful, that was a lot to take in, but I hope that you get some clarity and you found this impactful. Winnie, I will pass it back over to you.
All righty, wonderful. Diane, do you have a slide that have your contact information on it?
I
don't have it. If not, we will give it to them.
Yeah,
we'll give it to them. We'll give you the email. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you so very much. I know we have Portia. I don't know if Portia, if you're still here. I know you wanted to ask a question. You can either speak at this time. And then we are opening up to everybody else who have been patiently writing all their questions down, because this is full Q&A at this point.
Yeah, my question was about healthcare services because basically all what they were touching on was on construction, but my concern was about healthcare.
Okay. Did you hear that?
I was told to I got a number to call for them to assist me more, so I wrote it down.
Yes, very good. But Diane, you heard, well, so Portia, what Diane was saying is that in the catalogs that she was giving, she gave you from A to Z in the other areas. So healthcare is among that. Yes, she focused on construction because of, we asked, that's a big area that JFK is looking for MWBEs. And we have a number of individuals who are in the field of construction, and that's a unique service that needs a lot of hand holding, and they need to know, but that's the biggest area right now across the entire country, construction. The US is heavy into construction everywhere. So obviously that will be, the lead. However, she just showed you that from A to Z. So once you get into that chat where Ronnie has put that address, and we will help you once you call us as well, right? So
All right.
that the address is there for you to go from A to Z in that book that she just shared. So healthcare, corrections, anything you guys want to think about from A to Z in those agencies, you can click on it and get that information.
Yeah, that's New York State agencies. So keep that
Yes.
in New York State.
New York State
So,
agencies. What is that? What is that?
thank you.
You're well. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah.
Winnie, I have a question. It's for
Yes,
Tasha.
Natasha. Hi,
Hi,
Natasha.
Diana. Thank you for this awesome presentation. It was fantastic.
Thank you.
You mentioned, I think the area for a lot of professional development on my end might come out of human services. That was when I was looking at the nicest code. I saw a lot in human services, but I didn't see it really tailor as like the professional coaching that I'd like to do. So I think that I have to navigate and really see what are they looking for when they say human services, because I do coaching.
Okay, so you do coaching is so broad. So what type of coaching do you do?
Small businesses, executive development and training.
Okay, so there was a contract that they just awarded. Actually, I saw that for professional development. For small business coaching, that would be Department of Small Business Services. But what I would probably recommend is that you tap into the non-for-profit organizations right now, because there are no RFPs that are out there for coaching, because I checked. I haven't seen any RFPs for coaching. However, I would encourage you to visit Small Business Services, their website, and also BENYC website, and connect with them. Share your capability statement with whoever you can email on their website. And there is the Women WENYC as well. That's for the women entrepreneurs. That could be a space that you could possibly find opportunities in. So that would not necessarily be in the human services space, but more so in the small businesses space. So small
Okay, thank you.
would definitely be one of your target agencies.
Yes, Ronnie, you may speak. I think Ronnie raised her hand, but
Okay. Thank you so much again. I had a question about the ACS. You said that they don't have to use MWBEs. And I was curious, is there like a list out there of agencies who don't have to do the 30% MWBE thing?
It's not necessarily that ACS doesn't. That's not, so let me clarify that. The agencies are all required to follow it. However, ACS is a human services agency, right? The non-for-profit, so they work with a lot of non-for-profit organizations. It's the non-for-profit organizations that the law does not stipulate that they must follow local law 1 or any of the laws that govern these programs. They do not have to use it. However, there is language that the agency put as a best practice to encourage them. So it's not the agency, that the agency has a goal. They better meet that goal because someone is going to knock on their door, right? And they're going to be screamed at during those meetings. I've been a part of several of those meetings in the past. Doesn't look good because everyone knows that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. But it's the non-for-profit organizations that they work with, that they contract to, that they encourage them, but and even more, they're doing a better job at encouraging and not just saying it, but they're actually putting language in those to encourage them. If they don't, they're not going to be penalized, right? Because the law from the beginning until we get this amended, right? But because they do use subcontractors, they encourage them to use MBE sub-consultants. And some of them actually do attach a goal to it, because I've seen opportunities out of HRA that had an 8% goal.
And is there a list somewhere where we can find like these nonprofits?
There are no, actually, I don't know where the list is. No, I shouldn't say that. It's in Passport.
Okay.
It's somewhere in Passport. And I remember because I saw Abbott's house. It's somewhere in Passport, but Passport is the best place to look. Passport is definitely the best place to look. It might not give you a list with the contact information or any of those things, but also look at the agency's website. Visit these agencies' website, okay? If you want to do business with an agency, just like if you were going on an interview, you would go to their website and check it out. So if you're looking to do business with any of these agencies, I definitely encourage you to go to their website and get a sense of who they are and who they work with.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Any further questions? It was an awful lot. I'm hoping that you actually took down. Is it possible we could stop screen sharing so we can sort of see everyone right now? And everyone is saying, okay, Ashwani, yes, you may ask a question, Ashwani.
Hi, let me introduce you myself. My name is Ashwani Kumar and I'm from Amber Construction. And the president is Nisha, and she always encouraged me.
Oh yeah, welcome. I told her we need to see you and I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for coming, yes.
No, it is very interesting. This is my first time.
Yes.
Though I'm experienced enough with our government agencies, as I was working as a project manager. I've done a couple of MTA projects successfully and School Construction Authority. And right now we are engaged with NYCHA on a very small level, Amber Construction. My question is, as a part of policy, if any vendor goes in a year more than $250,000, so there is a VNC. VNC means there is a pause in the company. So since your question, I'm referring to Diana, whether we are registered, whether we have a passport, that is basically it is a Vendex. In order to do any business with the city agency, you have to have your Vendex, which is now called passport. So my question at this point is, what are other agencies, since we are not that big, in order to go to MTA, you have to do mentor program, SCA, then you have to be at least qualified subcontractor, which is a lengthy way. We are working on that too. But any agencies with this kind of experience, what I'm talking about, I mean, I needed suggestions from your end, though we know the business very good, but there is a criteria that, okay, your financials and your experience as a owner of the business. Like in my 23 years, I dealt with almost every, you name it, we dealt with every OGS, we did a couple of hospitals, CUNY, NYCHA, SCA, MTA, bridges and tunnel, everything. But that was working for the other company. Now we have our own company and we started from scratch. Though we are doing good, we do not have any company. But again, I need your suggestions that what are other agency to get into fast without any lengthy process.
To get into fast. All
Mhm.
right. So let me hear again. What exactly you do?
We are, our company do purchase orders for NYCHA, New York City Housing.
So you're in the construction space? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Are you on the pre-qualified? Are you first of all, are you MWBE certified?
No, that's what my president Nisha, she's working on that.
Mhm.
And I heard that she's getting a lot of help, and that is encouraging me to come here and listen to you guys
Mhm.
to get more information and more knowledge. I cannot say I know everything. There's always a room to learn.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. That's we stop learning when we're dead, right?
Right. I agree with you.
Going to learn.
Mhm.
So, earlier I said that you don't need to be an MBE to bid on a contract. That still stands. However, I encourage people to get their certification. Why? Especially in the construction space.
Yeah.
There are lots of opportunities, and especially now, there are tons of opportunities that are in the pipeline. But the first thing they're asking for is your certification. Why? Because both the city and the state have elevated their interests, and they're having more vested interest, and the advocates and everyone. So they are looking now at the goals. So prime contractors, they want to make sure that you're MBEs. The DDC, they will be launching their mentorship program soon, and their mentorship program is going to be tied to construction opportunities throughout the city. So like the MTA, theirs is tied to opportunities, right? But again, it's a bidding process. The SCA, those are tied to opportunities as well. So there is none that there's fast without your MBE certification in the construction space. There's none fast anyway, period. A lot of everything is like tons and tons of work, to be honest. But I encourage her to move swiftly to get that MBE certification. Definitely move swiftly. And then, like I said, those short lists, there's opportunities at DASNY, but those again are tied because those are earmark. As much as I don't like to use that word, then in essence that's what they are. There are some that are literally set aside that only if you're MBEs that you can bid on those. The DDC has pre-qualified lists where you can bid on those, but if you're a non-MBE you must subcontract up to 50% to a non-MBE. So now if you go in and you get one of those contracts, you're going to have to subcontract up to 50%. That's one of the criteria for qualification.
I'm fully aware of this fact.
Yeah.
But there is a
Time to get that
like 20% MBE and 30% WBE. It depends upon the kind of project. It is everywhere. And I need your honest opinion. What is good to get enrolled with as a MBE, New York State or New York City? There's a big difference.
Listen, both. Get them all.
No,
New York
the first
State
one.
right now, I'm going to be very honest. New York State right now, I was told on last week that they have a two-year backlog. Okay, 2 years backlog. It was 1.5. Now it went to 2 for certification. They were just appointed a new executive director, so I'm hoping that he's gonna come and make some changes so that they put some contract out so that organizations like Mars can help with their certification to move the certification process along, because it's ridiculous to have people wait for 2 years. New York City, on the other hand, because they have their mentorship program and other programs that are coming down the pike, then definitely I would say if you could get that one first, get that one first, right?
Okay.
Because you have the DDC, they have their mentorship program that was getting ready to be rolled out, hopefully this year.
But what I learned in my past, out of my experience, being certified in New York State, you encounter more opportunities because there's a lot of company in New York City. Those who are MBE, finding MBE in New York City is it's not difficult because
No,
my past company has lost couple of contracts. We waited more than 2 years to get ourselves enrolled in New York State because every contractor, whether OGS, I mean, most of the federally funded contracts, it comes from the state.
yeah,
So that is the thing I wanted to know. Thank you for the information.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, I just wanted to also, I don't know if this is going to help, but Diana said something very powerful. I'm hoping it didn't go over anybody's head.
Hmm.
She mentioned about relationship, relationship, relationship. We know for a fact if you're intentional, not meaning you, Ashani, anyone, if you're intentional and you're not MWBE certified, I make sure I align myself with MWB certified individuals who have the certificate, but then doing nothing with it. Absolutely nothing with it. So I align myself with them. They get in as the lead and I come right behind them. And in that area, I know that I have been fortunate, in that regards and others. So building intention, if you're not MW certified, definitely find them. That's why becoming a member of Malls, we are able to help you on the second Wednesday of every month. We have a peer-to-peer where everyone pitch what type of business they're in, and you intentionally build relationship with those people because collaboration, like next Monday, we're going to talk about building capacity. So don't miss next Monday's event at all, okay?
I'll be there all the time. It is very interesting. And second,
I think we have two equipment on at the same time. So got a feedback.
No, I do have a couple of associates, those who are already certified as a
Very good.
right, and some of the companies without without any conflict of interest, they help each other. Like I have certain expertise, they have certain expertise.
Very good.
Like when it comes to interior, I have a different team. When it comes to exterior, I have different team. Because
Very
one person cannot know cannot
Absolutely
master
not.
everything.
That's where capacity comes in.
Yeah,
That's where
so that's not a
is-
problem at all for us, as I
Very
told
good.
you, I told you earlier also, that
Very good.
I'm in this field from last 23 years.
Very
So,
good.
and
Very proud of you.
And now you are saying about the opportunities. I know now Diana, and I'm going to contact her. I'll find a lot of resources.
Okay, very good, very good.
Say one person.
Yes,
Who knows
you have to build, and this is why we tell our members, make sure we are increasing. Diana is going to be on our team and we're bringing in a whole lot more of Diana's level, across the board so that they could really help, malls. So we are going by September. Let me tell you, I don't know what agency or what professional we won't have.
No, Diana.
Increasing the opportunities so that you're getting capital, contracts, and clients. All right. So that's really what it is.
A true compliment to Diana, because whatever she told, I was well aware. But for the beginners, it was a very, very useful. It takes years to understand what she's telling in a very plain words.
Yeah.
And if somebody is paying attention, trust me, it'll be there soon. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I do appreciate
You're welcome.
it. One of the things that I understand clearly, because I think my value proposition and my value add is because I've been on the inside. I've been on the inside where I have served in the agency in various capacities. So I understand from different levels, and now to be out here as an entrepreneur, so I understand what the challenges are. And actually, I have built relationships over the years and continue to build relationships, and relationship building is very important. So people on the federal level, they also contact me for opportunities. I am not playing in the federal space yet because I don't have the bandwidth just yet. But nonetheless,
You're
there are
not far
opportunities
either.
everywhere. And you hear about opportunities oftentimes not by even the solicitation that's out there, but by someone who's actually calling and asking, like, hey, do you know anyone who might be able to do this? One more thing, Winnie, I don't know if everyone on this workshop have already completed the application for the grant, but I hope you received an email from somewhere that there's a grant for between $5,000 and $50,000. That a grant, not a loan, a grant for business owners. This is not MBE businesses. This is for business owners, providing that you have your 2019 and 2020 taxes and the money that you incurred a loss in 2020. You could go to the ESD website and find that application, New York State Recovery Grant. You could Google it. Make sure you complete the application and see if you could get between $5,000 and $50,000. I could take it.
Now, Diana, wasn't the deadline passed for that grant?
No, that just hit the street
Oh.
last week.
Last week, okay.
That just hit the street last week. Yes, that's
Very
not
good.
that's just hit the street last week. So all the organizations and various organizations have been sending emails to people for that grant. But I encourage everyone on this call, if you haven't heard of it yet, look at New York State grant. That's $800 million in grant money for small businesses.
Wow, this is just awesome.
This is not MBE, it's business.
Yes, for everybody. That's for profit, not for nonprofit, for profit. Okay.
From upstate to downstate. So jump on it tonight if you haven't already done that. Yes, it's a grant. New York State. Yes, thank you, Ronnie. New York State Business Recovery. Yes.
But did you say for profit and not non-for-profit?
It is
for profit.
It's for profit. The non-for-profit arm is only for like cultural businesses or arts and cultural. But if you're a regular non-for-profit, then no.
Okay. And that takes that we must have all our documentation in order.
Business owner, then I would expect
That's
documentation in order.
That is so correct.
Yep.
Don't be caught. Now, I encourage people to take your business seriously.
That's right. That's right.
Because, when COVID just hit and the PPP came out, and as much as, there's so much going on, I volunteered for an organization, and there were so many small businesses that didn't have their taxes and didn't have their documentation in place, and they missed out on that. So I encourage you, if you have to file your extensions for your taxes, do what you need to do, but make sure you have all your documentation. So when these opportunities do present themselves, that you have all your paperwork and you can, put yourself in a situation where you can get some grant money.
Absolutely. Well, we are actually at the hour. So at this point, we will like to can we all give her a round of applause for Anna and the awesome work she's going to be doing. She will be working with malls. So just look out for all the other, she has a lot more to share. And as Ashwani said, it took years to know just the depth and the width, right? But she has a lot more to share. She is not a nonprofit organization. She does not work for the city or the state. She has her own for-profit consulting agencies. So yes, it's fee-based, but many times we struggle and lose out because we're not willing to hire and pay the consultants who can rapidly get us through. So definitely, she does have a criteria with the persons who are going to work with her, but she's willing to give some of that expertise to malls. And you know what we are here at malls. We help you to be able to complete all that you need for success, right? And so that's really where we are. Yes, Ashwani.
Yeah, But you didn't mention her contact information. If somebody wants to hire her services, how are you going to?
Email. You're gonna get the chance to email. I know she is extremely busy. You won't believe what it took me to get her here this evening. Okay,
But let everybody be benefited who's here, you know.
yes, I will definitely
that's the
share
whole
that.
point.
I will share that with you, Ashwani, not a problem. And we have, you know, Nisha is always contacting me. So you know that Nisha is not gonna let it slide.
Right.
All right, so that's not a problem.
Thank you very much. Words are
You're
not
right
enough to tell
You're
you
most
how much
welcome. You're most welcome, everyone.
and I'm
Thank you
happy.
so much. And like you said, Diana is going to share some links and everything with me, and I'll forward it to everyone who has showed up here this evening. Okay, so be rest assured that will be here.
Thank you.